All right, click the links to join the channel here, 99 cents a month. Like, what does it get me? I think it gets you a wrench and a colored name in the chat, and I think that's all it gets you. Is it worth it? No, not really. It just makes your name easier to see, and I guess you could ban people. So that's kind of cool. You could just repeatedly mute people in chat or over a subscribe star. So, woke Al Gadot stunningly and bravely says something as soon as it's safe to say it. Insert the Dan Rather courage here. God, what a douchebag he is, and really anyone on TV. And now that I think about it, Hollywood in general. So, 2 points in this short Sunday video. Things are such woke PC cancer now that when she says in this interview, this seemingly milquetoast innocuous comment, it actually has some sting to it, but you got to kind of follow Hollywood to know that what she's saying has some hooks, some barbs. She's talking about how she made the first Wonder Woman film, the one that didn't bomb. So if I were her, I'd be kind of careful because that Wonder Woman 84 lost like $200 million. And she says that people say men don't want to see girl movies, which is mostly true, but her movie did well because if the story is good, if the action's there, if the plot makes sense, then they'll go see it. Yeah, mostly fair enough. Yeah, nobody wants to be lectured to by people who have cheered Weinstein for 30 years or they fly to islands. Now the thing is, her comment has some bite to it because while she's not naming names or films specifically, we know the film she's talking about because there was a half a dozen of these. Girl power films that nobody saw: Birds of Prey, Black Widow, X-Woman, Terminator, Old Lady Edition, and a couple of others. Where if you're Scarlett Johansson or who's the other? Some of the other chicks who were in those, Margot Robbie, who were in those movies that bombed. Like if they read this, they read her comment. It's like it registers with them as a little bit of a dig. And Gal Gadot is smart. She knows what she's saying when she says this. Like she knows what she's saying has roots. It's a heavy spider on the spider web. And Wonder Woman, the first one, was just okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It didn't come out in a vacuum. The other DC movies at the time were pretty rough. So you have a former model in a skirt who's running around. She's attractive, and people were on board with it because it was a lighthearted improvement from the earlier darker DC stuff. But it still wasn't a good movie. And don't get mad at me if you're a big fan. Ask yourselves. This is the test in the pudding. That's not what I wanted to say. The proof is in the pudding, but whatever. Ask yourselves how many times you rewatch the movie, because that'll give you the answer. And you're like, oh, I guess you're right. There's probably a lot of other superhero genre movies that you've seen more than once, but the original Wonder Woman's not going to be one of them. I'll say Iron Man, the first one was pretty solid. Like that had a character arc, it had development. You took an alcoholic and you showed some kind of redemption. I mean, it could have been better, yeah, for sure, but it was 2008. That was a strong start for Marvel. So Wonder Woman had a smiling, pretty, skinny lady flying around in her skirt, which was a lighthearted improvement from the earlier DC stuff, but it was still just a fluffy movie full of fluff. And in comparison, 1984 was Patty Jenkins doing 2 hours of her incandescent hatred for blonde people. I've covered that to death. I'm not going to go into it again, but it was absolutely insane. Oh, and I said woke at the first sentence of this video because some SJW said if he hears it, he knows to just turn off the video. So I figured I'd help save them their time. I don't want someone to listen to something that they don't want to. I mean, go find something that you enjoy. Anyway, if you don't follow the culture war, what she said doesn't register in your consciousness, but it's a mild departure from the approved narrative. It is something like she knew she was saying something that has some deeper meaning to it. So the second issue is that she's saying she's making some straight to Netflix piece of dog poop. Briefly, it's about a group that anyone with any political acumen is going to say, oh, this is the Israeli Gal Gadot, and the group is going to be, analogous to Mossad going around the world doing their wet work war crimes that they actually do commit. But the movie's about a group that has no political affiliation, but it goes around acting like the world's police. So it's going to be just, left wing pushing some kind of just insufferably woke type of lecturing us on just all kinds of, look, a crying child, open your borders kind of nonsense. Imagine all the wealthy people living in gated communities flying to Epstein's Island, but sung to the tune of Imagine, which maybe I could cover that on guitar. The thing is, once you're an adult, nothing is in a vacuum. It's not the Heisenberg principle of uncertainty, but it's of movie metaphor politics. You can't make something without some interpretation to it. So let me guess. Gal and her globalist Mossad gang of assassins. Everyone knows the physics and metaphors would be like Heisenberg and Schrodinger. Um, Gal Gadot and her globalist Mossad gang of assassins are going to go all around the world to all the political hotspots to stop terrorism, which in this show will magically all be blonde-haired, blue-eyed, evil Hugo Boss type of people, like every single time. Am I on base, or am I just way off to lunch here? So I kind of doubt the show's going to go after African warlords, of which there's no shortage, or Boko Haram. Literally, books are haram, outlawed, verboten, or in the Middle East for the atrocities of, I was going to say either side of those groups, but it's really more than just two sides. It's like really everyone against everyone over there, and it's all just magically going to be Gal going around the world, deleting the evil blonde German stand-in type of dudes. And in this political climate, I assume it's going to have something to do with Russia. But like God, even in comic books, when they do Russia, when they cover like Russia as the bad guys, it's still blonde or red haired Russians, of which, yeah, for sure, there's no shortage of. But there's also a lot of Asian Russians. But comics and movies that don't show the dark hair or dark eyes. It has to be blonde hair or red haired. And if you follow comics or movies, like I'm not crazy. I mean, if you're new, you hear this and think this is a little weird, your obsession. But it's like it's if you follow movies, it's there. Anyway, so Russia, Russia, Russia. And the thing is, it's for Netflix. This sort of stuff is not meant to be a front page thing. It's meant to be filler to help fill out the roster so Netflix can advertise it to get people to subscribe. It's a monthly thing. It's like $15 or something. They want to have enough shows that people think they're getting their money's worth. So it's kind of like when Netflix advertises, they want that $15 a month, or they're subscribed for a year because they want to hook you for a year. And so they just show this advertisement with like, 100 shows in the background, and that you go, okay, I can probably justify $15 a month if I see like four movies a month, however you justify it in your head. And the normie might be on board with this kind of just, it reminds me of a movie that came out in the 90s that I can't remember the name of it. So it's kind of a stupid thing to bring up in a video, a reference where it was oh, you know what? Was it the 90s where the liberals like bring people to dinner and then they assassinate them? At first I was thinking the tail wag dog. No, yeah, it was in the 90s where they, Who's Coming to, no, Who's Coming to Dinner was back in the 60s. But you know the movie I'm talking about. Liberals assassinate people that like right-wing Rush Limbaugh types, and they talk about murdering right-wingers for their political beliefs. You start looking at the left, you realize, oh, they're the sociopaths the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, they really, really are. I know someone will know the name in the comments. Anyway, the normie might be on board with this kind of stupid stuff. I wish I could swear. I wish I could say a bunch of slurs, but I'm just not allowed on YouTube. The mask wearing Ukraine flag in their bio. The people who hear the NPC narrative, they never ask questions. They just jump on board the next thing. Whatever the government or media tells them to believe, they believe it. No, you don't understand. We have to hate this group of people because the government media complex said to. But they lie all the time. Well, listen, Nazi. Only Hugo Boss asks for facts, evidence, and due process. That's where we are now. It's really kind of weird. Anyway, enjoy the soy slop. Thanks again to Vegan and LG for the comic books and the pocket knives. I'll show you those when I get those tomorrow in the community post, and I will see you guys all next episode.